No pressure.
Alright, like Steve said, my name is Jason. I'd like to also add that I am a lunatic farmer. And which that being said, there's a couple of scriptures in Genesis that really, when I started on this adventure, really kind of hit home to me. And one is in Genesis 1:11 and 12. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth, each according to its kind." And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And that was Genesis 1:24 through 25. That struck home with me when I started doing all of my research, like when I shared in the first 6 weeks about my daughter and how sick she got. That screamed to me about the GMOs and how they were crossing this with this to get this that grew bigger, faster, stronger, the whole nine. And that started me, of course, down this road that I have started. And this is some pretty animals, ain't it?
All of ours.
That is the meanest goat that ever walked on the planet.
Not anymore. He's in somebody's freezer.
Somebody's belly. Okay, so the path that I got on was sustainable farming. So Steve asked us to help you guys be able to figure out what is a sustainable farm and then how to get in touch with farmers like us who farm this way. So I figured the best way is to try to let you guys know what is a sustainable farm. Sustainable farms produce crops and raise animals without relying on toxic chemicals, pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, genetically modified seeds, or practices that degrade the soil, water, or other natural resources by growing a variety of plants and using techniques such as crop rotation, conservation tillage, and pasture-based livestock husbandry. Sustainable farmers protect biodiversity and foster the development and maintenance of healthy ecosystems. Basically what that means in the Cliff Notes version is we don't practice monoculture. Sustainable livestock farmers and ranchers raise animals without dangerous practices like the use of non-therapeutic antibiotics or arsenic-based growth promoters. Through careful, responsible management of livestock waste, sustainable farmers also protect humans from exposure to pathogens, toxins, and other hazardous pollutants. In short, the Cliff Note versions is that we have more than one critter on our thing and we know what to do with the poop. So what does a sustainable farm look like? Well, we have different species of plants and animals. We have compost bins. I love the compost bin. Inside that compost bin you have earthworms, microorganisms, all kinds of just alive things. That is probably one of the most alive portions on a farm that there is. You could take up one little tiny handful and there's more alive things that are alive inside that handful than there are people on the planet. You can't get excited about that. You got to have open access to the farm.
Little loud.
So when it's a sustainable farmer, he's not trying to hide anything. He's going to let you come on the farm because his practices protect his livestock, his plants, everything that he's got growing on there, everything that he's practicing. He doesn't have to worry about the whole security thing that a lot of people try to throw up.
It won't be illegal to take pictures.
Right.
Yeah, you're allowed to take pictures of it. Matter of fact, some of them, if you get like me or my little girls, they'll be like, you got mulch. Mulch around your fruits and vegetables. To be honest with you, if it doesn't look like that, I wouldn't eat it. But that's just me. The mulching helps protect the plant. It helps hold in moisture, helps hold in heat in the wintertime. And it also is as biodegrading as it's going down. It's feeding the soil. And it's feeding everything that's in the soil. The farmer should be open and friendly, meaning that if you were able to sit there and see him, he should be having no problem standing there having a conversation with you and answering any question that you have. He should be able to tell you where that cow came from, what generation of piglet that is on his farm. I mean, he'll automatically know these things, and he should be proud to tell you. Ask me, I'm going to tell you. You're going to get a whole story. His animals should be healthy and happy. They should be pranksters.
That's Daisy.
That's our Daisy cow, Daisy. She is down getting a boyfriend right now at a friend of ours' farm. And Robin called up and said, well, does she miss us? And so they went out and took a picture. And
she stuck her tongue at us.
But when we brought her down there, we put her on a leash. This is where he got her. Right there, that's where we hook her leash, and everybody on their farm, it was a big dairy farm, they were like,
you can walk her on a halter?
I'm like, don't you? You know, but they were just amazed.
She's their new toy.
I'd say whoa or heel, she'd be like,
that's their new toy on their farm now. They get to walk around a cow.
Did she have a baby?
No, she's not pregnant.
She's not pregnant, that's why she's getting a boyfriend.
She's dating now.
She's out dating. On a sustainable farm, you should see bugs. There's going to be bugs there. Because there's good bugs and then there's bad bugs. The bad bugs, the good bugs will either eat the bad bugs or their plants will be so healthy and vibrant that when they bite into them, some of them could even drown from just the moisture that's in the plant. So you should still see bugs. They should be friendly to their community and their neighbors. Now what I mean by that is that when you go around and you're trying to find the farm, and if you ask somebody, their face shouldn't crinkle up. They should be like, oh yeah, Big Bear, he's down there on the left, you know, because they shouldn't have to worry about the odors coming off of your farm, off of that farm. They shouldn't have to worry about the animals getting loose. The stuff on
We'll talk about all that artificial whitening later. Talk about all that artificial whitening teeth later.
You would be amazed. I typed in Google friendly farmer, and there was no pictures.
They should be missing that.
There was absolutely no pictures. Now, what does a sustainable farm not look like? This is probably more important for you than what it looks like. This should be the more important stuff. And what does it not look like? You'll have no trespassing signs everywhere. If you can even get close enough to read them without getting hit by a SWAT team. Now, on a sustainable farm, this sign that's getting ready to come up, now this one is getting ready to come up, it's okay. This is more for health and safety. This one says, do not cross the pasture unless you can do it in 9 seconds, because the bull can do it in 10. That's an okay sign to see on a sustainable farm.
Is that on your farm?
No, I don't have a bull. But if I did, it would be.
Actually, it's going to say because the moody cow can do it in 10.
Biohazard labels on feed, fertilizers, buildings, everything. You will see them anywhere because that's the law. OSHA will come and kill them if they don't. You might even hear that sound. But if they're out treating the fields, you might even see guys wearing suits just like that. They may not be as square, but they'll be looking just like that.
Or at least have a mask.
Or mask.
You'll see somebody wearing a mask. If they have to wear masks on their farm, you know there's something wrong.
Something wrong.
Even if it's just because of the feces, you know.
There'll be a smell. You'll smell the farm
Yeah.
long before you get there. And you won't be as romantic as Peppy is when you pull up there, because it's going to stink. There'll be overwhelming smells of manure and chemicals. They practice a monoculture system. That means when you go out there, you're not going to see a variety. You won't see strawberries and blackberries and raspberries and tomatoes. You're either going to just see all tobacco, all corn, all cotton, and then you might even see Porky Pig with his mop suit on down there because they're spraying their pesticides on it or their fertilizers because that one crop has depleted the soil.
There's I posted on Facebook about a month ago. There's a photographer who has done a project where he has this frame. It's a 1 cubic foot frame, and he's put it in all sorts of environments, in the rainforest, in polar glaciers, and just all sorts of places all over the world. And he'll take pictures of every living thing that you can see with your naked eye that comes through that 1 cubic foot frame within a 24-hour period. And just some amazing photographs. Except when he took it to an Iowa cornfield. Because in that monoculture cornfield, he was amazed that there was nothing living other than the corn. I mean, the amount of things that he saw, and he had to move it around, was like this spider, this ladybug, this, and it was like less than 10 things. And whereas for the other environments, it was hundreds and hundreds of so that's what monoculture is.
They also practice with antibiotics and growth hormones. Now, one of the major tattletale signs on a big farm that practices this, especially with cattle, they'll have what they call a head gate. It's where the cattle will walk in, and then it's got 2 huge honking like steel bars that come up, and the cow can't move. And some sustainable guys might have that, but we don't. 1, because it's just too expensive, but 2, our animals are more relaxed. So, some of the farmers may even look like that. All the different antibiotics. I think it was in the documentary Fresh that a hog farmer out of Arkansas was talking about how his dad was a sustainable farmer. He had hogs, he had cows, he had this and this. And it was right about the time when the pig market really started to take off. He went off to the big fancy college and came back and said, "Dad, I'm going to show you how to farm." And so they wiped out everything and just started raising pigs in a CAFO and started pumping them full of this trash. Well, he was in there one day giving antibiotics, and one of the boars just turned his head and scraped his leg down around his calf. And it started getting infected. And he wound up in the hospital, and he almost lost his leg in his life because they couldn't combat it because of all the antibiotics and stuff that they were pumping in the pig. The pig had a new superbug that the hospitals had no idea what it was. And so after he finally made it home, he still had his leg. He literally took his backhoe and dug a hole and euthanized all of his hogs and started back over the way his daddy used to farm. And lost his contract with one of the big pork buyers, but he just started over. It literally almost took his life for him to have that life-changing experience. Manure pools. I was going to try and Photoshop a picture of somebody like diving in here, but I thought that was going to be like way too gross. But that is exactly what that is.
Well, look in the background. You can see the confinement housing.
You can see it's a dairy, and there's one of these in the CSRA. It's out in Deering. We went to visit it when we first started getting.
And we thought it was so cool.
We were like, wow, look at all these cows that they can milk because they had these buildings right here. And she told me they spent like $2 million on these buildings, and it really wasn't a building. It was a roof and a bunch of big fans
and concrete floors, and it's at an angle so they can wash it all out.
It washes all down, and it literally comes down into this big concrete thing. And I was like, wow, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, but I was like, what kind of things?
They didn't have it full of manure at the time. It was still being built. We didn't actually get to see it in use yet.
Does it get cleaned out once in a while?
I didn't stick around long enough to answer that question. But I'm assuming that they have to. They've got to pump it out and take it somewhere because that is only so deep, so they have to pump it out and take it somewhere.
They lived in Cape Girardeau, Missouri area, and they actually had pigs like that, and they pumped it out and spread it on another farm. And
They may do that because they actually have a lot of corn. They are a monoculture. They grow a lot of their corn because they feed all of their dairy cows silage, and so they produce a lot of corn that they literally grind it up, the whole stalk. They throw it all in and put it in. So it may be that they use it as a liquid fertilizer. They may. I don't know.
it stinks so
It.
bad.
Their area did smell. It was.
Yeah, and that ground, when they spread it out there so much, that ground can only take so much.
Mhm.
And when it's full, just like when you're putting gas in your gas tank, and it's full and it shoots back out at you, all it's doing is running off and getting into your creeks
Water.
and your streams
Mhm.
and your lakes and
Right.
eventually to the ocean. The farmers on a farm that's not sustainable farm, the big commercial farms, they're going to be unapproachable and they're going to be depressed. Why are they going to be depressed? Is because they're locked in on a contract with the big Tysons and the big companies, and they're hosed. They can't even, if they have agreed with this contract to grow nothing but corn, if Tyson comes out and they find him just growing a broccoli up by the house, he loses his contract and they will blackball him and he won't be able to do anything else. They also will come out and change, like with the chicken farmers. They'll come out every year and change the regulations on the chicken houses. So then they got to go and remortgage and get in deeper debt to be able to fix the chicken houses, and they're taking out $300,000-$400,000 loans to fix chicken houses and barely making $17,000-$18,000 a year. So they are constantly stressing out and worried about whether or not they're going to lose the family farm, and so they don't want to talk to anybody, and they're just depressed, sad, depressed people because they're stuck. They got confinement housing, which we were just talking about, in the large feed troughs. These are the chicken houses that they will change the regulation on every year. Now, these pipes that you see right along in here, that's where they get their water, and they have started putting the antibiotics in the water for the birds. So as the birds are drinking, they are getting their antibiotics. Now, the lovely state of Georgia, this is considered a caged-free egg when these chickens lay the egg. This is considered a cage-free egg. The lovely state of Georgia will put a doggy door all the way down on this end down here and give the chickens access to sunlight. It could be a concrete pad that's 2 feet by 3 feet. All of a sudden, those eggs went from cage-free to free range, and you're paying $4 or $5 a dozen at the grocery store. Because when we first got started, before I took the egg handling class, when I would close my eyes and see a free-range chicken, I'm thinking probably just like 90% of y'all are. Well, they're running out in the pasture, running around chasing grasshoppers and crickets and not according to the state of Georgia. That's why the state of Georgia can legally say that there is no nutritional difference between a caged egg and a free-range egg. And that's how they get it.
So if you're gonna buy them at the grocery store, don't waste your money on the other stuff. Get the stuff that's on sale.
Yeah, come to Tasha and Steve
Yeah.
or John and you'll save a couple of bucks and get a healthier egg.
Yeah, much healthier.
And when you, if by some freak of a chance you do get access, if you're up on the hill with a spotting scope or something, you're going to ask yourself, where are the bugs? Because there are no bugs on a commercial farm. Because they're constantly spraying pesticide after pesticide after pesticide because whatever it is that they're growing is weak. Its immune system is weak, and so they got to constantly do treatment, whether it's with the livestock or with the vegetables. So how do you find a sustainable farm and farmer? Well, the very first place to look is the farmer's market, because that's where these guys are going to be. And then my suggestion is as you're walking around the farmer's market, go a couple of times. Then, when you see one there routinely, start a conversation with them. Get to know them. Then, ask if you can come out and visit their farm. If they tell you no, warning. If they say, yeah, come on, Okay, and that's the next step. And then you can go out, visit their farm, and then you can see how he runs the place. If you see more than one variety of vegetable, if you see more than just chickens and cows, then you know you're on the right track. Don't be turned off, though, if you go and visit that farm and you see a junk pile. Every sustainable farmer that I know has a junk pile. Why? Because we're cheap and we don't want to throw anything away because we know we're going to need that.
We're going to need it.
Oh, I was going to mention too, beware of the people who are selling things that they purchased at the state farmer's market in the big boxes.
Yes.
And put it in a little
Look for the
basket.
boxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at the boxes. If it
Says Florida.
if he's
Tomatoes,
got,
Florida.
if
And
he's
think
got,
about the time of year. There's some
Yeah.
tomatoes.
Yes, definitely.
But there's a
Seasonal
lot of
is a
that
big different.
downtown.
Yeah, you have to really pay
Are you
attention to
talking
season.
Farmers market down in Augusta?
I'm talking about
Yes.
the farmer's market.
Is
Eat
there
it
a
all.
farmers market now? Is the farmers market?
Not till March.
Yeah.
March.
I don't think it starts till March or April.
March.
And-
The
and-
one in Aiken is open because they sell torrents and greens and
Okay, yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Now, you also got to think
They like their stuff.
think about back when you were a kid and you were growing up. Different things were out during different seasons.
Mhm.
If it's the wintertime, you're not supposed to have a tomato down at the farmer's market. Warning. If it's the summertime in our area and you see lettuce, warning. Unless he's saying he's growing in an aquaponics system, he might be able to get
Or
away with it.
greenhouse.
Or green, yeah. But
The greenhouse is still hard to keep.
yeah, this time.
Another thing that you can look for is word of mouth. People talk. People love to talk. There's that old rule in business. You can make one person happy, they might tell one person. You make them mad, how many people are they going to tell? You tell
A
a million.
million. Mhm.
And same way.
Angie's List.
Mhm.
The same way with your farmer's market. You see somebody or you just walk in and you start having a conversation with somebody, don't be afraid to ask them questions, especially if they've been coming there a lot. They'll tell you who to stay away from.
Mhm.
They'll tell you, yeah, he says he grows tomatoes, but if you look behind his truck, there's a box from Florida. Warning. Then another great tool of the modern age is Facebook. You have these awesome people here at Big Bear, and Icebox. This guy here,
I don't know who that is.
that's John. This is John, Steve, and Tasha, and of course me. And then you can also, when you're on Facebook, you can also find local associations. And John's getting ready to talk to you guys here in a few minutes about the Hobby Farmers Association. There is a world of knowledge and information in this group. You've got it all the way from guys that are pretty, I don't want to say large because we're not really large, but John and I are probably the largest ones in the group. But you got them all the way up at 5 acres, all the way down to the urban community homesteader folks with just little backyard chicken flocks. You got knowledge and experience from all over in different ways of life. If you can't find the answer in this group, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You've got a new problem, and we're all just going to give it a shot.
Well, we're all going to look for an answer. That's the other great thing.
I highly, highly, highly recommend Joel Salatin's books, Holy Cow and Hog Heaven. You will, 90% of everything that I said today, I learned when I read this book. And he even goes into more detail, and with they'll show you different examples of everything that goes on. He gives you a roadmap. Follow the roadmap.
What's the author's name?
Joel Salatin. Saint Joel, Steve likes to call it.
SALATIN.
I have Blaze spell all my words when I'm on the computer talking to someone. Hey, how do you spell this?
There's something called spell check.
Yeah, well.
It's not perfect.
That's all I have.
He didn't mention that technology's not his thing either. So
Okay, here.
who helped him?
Joel Salatin, he also has another book that I haven't read yet. It's the reason why I haven't recommended it, but it's like Family Friendly Farmer.
Something like that.
Something along those lines. That's probably another good one to read. I haven't read it yet because it's not at the library yet. And now, bearhomestead.com. And on that website, you will see we have different pages to help you with either raising chickens, quail, bees, milking a cow, rabbits, the whole 9 yards. And John's also got one also, but I could be selfish.
He does that.
Yeah.
It's in your journals.
Yeah, it's in
I'm
there.
gonna ask you guys a question. I work as a master gardener with Clemson Extension. They usually, not put it that way, usually try to do stuff without the chemical.
Mhm.
They suggest it, and they taught us that way. And they have fact sheets. Do you suggest people go to that HGIC website?
I don't know about it, so I couldn't suggest it.
It has fact sheets on anything you plant, varmints in the yard, I mean, it's just everything.
Clemson's
Mhm.
pretty good. My
Reputable.
professor
Mhm.
that I got my horticulture degree with, he went to Clemson. Scott Smith down there at Augusta Tech. Anytime I run into something that I can't wrap my head around, I usually end up calling him. And he'll make fun of me for a few minutes and then he'll give me the answer. But Clemson's pretty good to go, so if they put it out, I could probably say, you know,
I can show
99%.
the website if you want to.
The thing at Disney, they work with Disney with all of their gardens.
We know that.
Yep, we know that. I almost got an internship there with somebody